Most people watching this video are already losing money right now, today. Not because they're lazy, not because they're bad at chatting, but because nobody has ever shown them how chatting actually works at a high level. Now, I spent years building one of the top creator management agencies in the space. We manage dozens of creators. We have entire teams dedicated to chatting. And the single biggest thing that separates accounts that are doing $2 a month from accounts doing 20 grand a month isn't the creator. It isn't the content, and do you know what? It isn't even the traffic, it's the chatter. More specifically, it's whether the chatter understands that chatting is not a conversation, it's a revenue machine. And if you treat it like a conversation, you will always leave money on the table. In the next 10 minutes, I'm gonna give you the exact system we use internally, the hierarchy we use to prioritize subscribers, the strategies we use to loop pay-per-views, craft offers, and close high-ticket sales, and the one mindset shift that separates average chatters from elite ones. This is not just something I've made in theory. This is what we actually do, what actually works, and what actually scales. But I want to warn you, some of what I'm about to say is gonna feel very obvious, and that's the trap. Because if it were as obvious as it sounds, everyone would be doing it. They're not. So pay close attention to the parts that feel too simple, because those are usually the ones you're skipping. Let's get straight into it. If you want to get really good at OnlyFans chatting, like genuinely good, not just copy and paste sequences and hope, you have to understand one thing from the start, and that is chatting is not just typing messages. Chatting is revenue engineering. That's what it is. Your job is to convert attention into money in the cleanest way possible, whilst keeping the subscriber happy enough to keep on coming back. And what most agencies and chatters get wrong is they think the key to making more money is using better scripts, better lines, better flirting, better dirty talk, more emojis, whatever. And that stuff matters, yeah, but don't get me wrong, it does. But it is not the foundation. The foundation is being able to monetize as many subscribers as possible, regardless of whether you're working on a creator doing $2 a month or a creator doing 200 grand a month. Now, the principles don't change. The traffic changes, psychology doesn't. So in this video, I'm gonna give you the system we use to optimize chatting at a high level. And I want you to actually listen, because I'm not gonna just tell you, sell more content. I'm gonna show you how to structure chatting like a machine. And I'm also gonna show you why most chatters are basically leaving money on the table every single day. Not because they're bad at flirting, but because they're bad at opportunity. They don't know who to speak to, when to speak to them, and what to sell them. That's the hard part. That's what takes a chatter from average to elite. And that's what I'm gonna teach you today. Now, before we get into the sexy stuff, and yes, there will be sexy stuff, we need to get into the boring stuff, because this is the stuff that actually changes the numbers. Now, I'll say something that might offend some people. The majority of chatters do not have a sales problem. They have a discipline problem. They have a process problem. And more importantly, they have an attention problem. And if you fix those, their revenue goes up instantly. So first practice, refresh unread chats constantly. And I know this sounds too obvious to be a strategy, but I swear to you, it's one of the biggest profit leaks on accounts. What happens is the chatters get distracted. They start talking to one guy, then another guy, then a third guy. They start scrolling the vault for content. Then they go on a different tab. Then they come back and there's been unread messages simply sitting there for 5 minutes. 5 minutes. On OnlyFans, that is death. You have to drill it into your team's brain. Every time you send a message, you click unread, 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 unread. You are constantly checking for fresh pings, because a subscriber messaging you is a flashing neon sign that says, I'm available right now. That is a moment of attention. That is a moment of opportunity. And if you miss these moments, look, you're basically letting them cool off for free. The best chatters don't just respond, they intercept. They grab attention whilst it's hot. The second practice is a cycle, because most chatters chat like they're drowning. They just respond to whoever is loudest. They respond to whoever is the easiest. They respond to whoever is in front of them. And then you end up with chaos, or you end up with the chatter who only talks to 3 big spenders and ignores everyone else, which feels productive at the time, but slowly kills the account because you're starving the whole pipeline. So what we enforce is a cycle. It's simple. You'll have your active sales. These are the people that you are currently in a sales journey with. Now, you might have 3 of them open at any one time. Person 1, person 2, person 3. So you message person 1, then person 2, then person 3. Then before you go back to them, you go down to the 3 oldest chats in the chat log. You know, the people who've been waiting the longest. And then what you do is you reply to those. Then you go back to your active sales again and you keep repeating. Now, why do we do that? Because it prevents 2 extremes. Extreme 1, the chatter only talks to the people they're actively selling, and all other chats pile up. Customers get ignored, people churn, and the account looks dead. Extreme 2, the chatter only clears chats. They just reply to everyone, trying to get everything to zero, but they never push sales because they're doing customer service. The cycle keeps it balanced. It forces the chatters to constantly scan all conversations, and what happens is they start spotting opportunities naturally. They see someone who might buy, they see someone who's engaged, they see someone with a pattern, they see a big spender, they see a blank slate, they see a subscriber who's cooling off. They start thinking like a hunter, and that leads to the core of this video, opportunity. In my experience, the hardest thing to train in a chatting team is not the dirty talk, it's not typing fast, it's not even closing the sale, it's opportunity recognition. It's the ability to look at a list of subscribers and instantly know who to prioritize, why, and what to sell. Because without that, chatters waste time on low value activity. They chase the wrong people and the account becomes inconsistent. One day is good, the next day is dead. And that inconsistency is usually not from traffic, it's opportunity management. So we use something called an opportunity hierarchy. And I want you to imagine this like a ladder. At any moment, you should know which part you're on. And you only go down the ladder when the rungs above are exhausted or already in progress. So here's the exact hierarchy. First priority, subscribers who have spent around $300 to $500 and also have bought a sequence, usually newer subscribers. And you might ask, why would that be the number one priority? Surely, shouldn't whales be number one? And the answer is no, because this subscriber is the perfect combination of three things. They have money, they're new enough to still be excited, and they have proven once that they will buy a structured offer. That is gold. That means that they are already trained, they have already shown you their buying behavior. If you build a connection and sell again, you can turn them into a repeat buyer. And repeat buyers are what makes accounts stable. Second priority, new subscribers who have been sent nothing. A blank slate. We don't know yet if they're good. We also don't know if they're bad, but they are fresh and they are curious. They are still in their honeymoon phase. And if you ignore them, you are simply letting them become cold almost instantly. This is where most agencies mess up. They wait until the subscriber messages first. They will also wait until the subscriber proves they're a spender. And by that time, the excitement is gone. The goal is to convert the blank slate into a buyer as early as possible. If you can get someone to spend even $15 in the first few hours, what you've done is change the psychology. You've created a customer, not a fan. Third priority, big spenders and whales. And yes, this surprises people because whales feel like guaranteed money. But here's the truth, whales die out, whales disappear, and whales get bored. Whales stop being whales. And if your entire chatting process is simply drop everything for the whale, what you're doing is you're neglecting the whole pipeline. You're simply neglecting the repeat buyers. And then you wake up one day and the whale is gone and the account is dead, simply because you have no fresh buyers. So we still sell to whales, obviously, but we don't let them hijack the entire day. You prioritize the pipeline first, then you milk the whales. Fourth priority, everyone else. And this is where I want to kill a term that I hate, and that is time waster, or TW for short. Because yes, there are subscribers who will never buy. There are some people who literally just want to talk, or they just want free stuff, and they're never going to spend. Fine, that does happen. But in reality, most people will spend something if you present the right offer at the right time. The bigger problem is chatters who decide in their head that someone that won't spend before they even try. That chatter is the real time waster. If your chatter says, look, none of these people will buy, you should ask one question: have you tried? And usually the answer is no, they haven't tried. They're just simply lazy. They're just scared of rejection. They're just bored. They're not doing their job properly. Now, a quick rule that is so important, it has to be tattooed onto your forehead. Literally, pin your prospects, pin them. On most CRMs, there's a feature for it. On Inflow, for example, you can open them in a new tab. It doesn't matter how you do it. You pin them the moment you have a plan to sell them, because chatters love to think that they'll remember. They won't. You will forget. Everyone forgets, and forgetting is expensive. If you have a subscriber ready to buy, and if you let them drift because you forgot, you just throw money in the bin. So pin them instantly, have a system, don't rely on your memory. Now let's talk about the moment you actually decide what to sell, because the hierarchy tells you who to focus on, but then what? You look at their pay-per-view history. What exactly have they bought? When did they buy it? How frequently? And how much for? This is how you avoid patterns. If someone only buys the first $15 clip in a sequence and then disappears, why would you run them through another full sequence? You're wasting time. Instead, maybe sell a longer standalone video for a 40 or 70, because they're clearly not a sequence guy. If someone has bought 5 sequences, let's say, in a row, why would you sell another one? Look, you're making it predictable, and predictability kills the excitement. You want to vary the sale. Maybe you sell a custom style pay-per-view, maybe a longer video, or maybe a bundle, maybe an offer. The whole point is with this, you want to sell the right person, the right thing at the right time based on their behavior. Now this brings us to a key strategy, pay-per-view looping. This is one of the most powerful systems you can add to a chatter's toolbox, simply because most chatters only know one way to sell, a pre-built sexting sequence, and the sequences are great, they're effective, yes, they're scalable, but they are not the only way to make money. And if you want to monetize more subscribers, you have to be able to sell in multiple ways. Pay-per-view looping is simply the art of selling standalone pay-per-views in a chain, using curiosity and instant follow-up to keep them buying without relying on a script. This is especially useful when you have a new creator with very limited sequences, or a subscriber who doesn't respond to sequences, a creator who doesn't make consistent content, or you just want to maximize without overusing sequences. The first rule of looping is you start with content that is intentionally not fully satisfying. And I don't mean low quality. I mean short clips, teaser clips, pixel clips, or quick bundles potentially. Things that make them want more. Because I've seen chatters do this horrible mistake. They sell a pay-per-view and the caption basically tells a subscriber to finish to this. And yes, the subscriber buys it, but then they disappear because you've ended the journey almost instantly. You've given them the endpoint too soon. Looping is about prolonging the journey. So here's the process. You send a pay-per-view, they unlock it. The second they unlock it, instantly you follow up with a message that sparks curiosity about the next one. Not 30 seconds later, not when you finish something else, instant. Drop everything, because the unlock moment is a dopamine moment. That's when they are ready to buy again. That's when they're hot. And if you miss it, the heat dies. So you say something like, wait, I just had another idea, or okay, I'm not done yet, or you're gonna want the next part, or I can't believe I filmed what I'm about to show you next. Something that directs their attention forward. Now, another important piece of looping is how you frame content. Sequences are framed like it's happening live. Pay-per-views often aren't. They're framed like, here's a random video. The trick is you want to be ambiguous. You want to feel like it could be happening live, or it could be a moment that simply just happened. That allows you to transition into a live feeling, a chain of pay-per-views. Now, some subscribers do love that. They want it to feel personal, current, and urgent. And when you loop, you don't just send content back to back like a vending machine. You keep the conversation moving. You use scenario-based texting. Instead of a generic dirty talk, you describe a scenario of what you will be doing together step by step. Like a story. That is the best way to get people emotionally invested and to keep them replying and buying. This is also why fast replies matter so much. Subscribers who buy quickly often buy because they're impulsive. And if you let them sit, they come to their senses. They go, wait, why am I spending money? They say. You have to keep them in motion. The rule is simple. Every pay-per-view should set up the next one, and each one should increase in either price, length, or intensity. It must escalate. You cannot sell someone a high-value video and then immediately try to sell something less exciting. That's because once you go high, you have to go higher. So you need a plan, not just what you're selling now, but what you're selling after and after that. If you're looping without a plan, you're literally just gambling. Another strategy is crafting offers. This is where chatting becomes elite. Most chatters think the product is pay-per-view, but the real product is the offer. And an offer is simply the way that you package value for the subscriber based on what they actually want and how they actually spend. To craft offers, you need to track behavior. And the most important thing you can teach your team is that the notes section is not optional. It is the brain of the account. If your chatters are not writing notes, they are blind. And if they are blind, they're just guessing. And guessing is expensive. So, what do you track? Max price. Does a subscriber stop buying when the content hits a certain price? Engagement. Do they reply fast? Do they disappear? Do they come back in bursts? Content preference. Do they prefer photos, videos, or the live feeling? Bundles or long content? So, transaction preference. Do they like small purchases or one big purchase? These patterns matter because they tell you how to craft the offer that will extract the most money. Let me give you some examples. If a subscriber has low engagement, but they love live feeling content, you might get them to tip up front for a session, because when they've already paid, engagement increases. That's psychology. If someone likes photos and live feeling but they're low engagement, you could sell them a weekly package. Tip at the start of the week and I'll send you cheeky photo drops throughout the week. Now you've turned a randomness into a subscription. If someone has high engagement but they won't spend over $50, don't send them a $70 video. you'll lose them. Instead, you might make an agreement. No pay-per-views, but they tip consistently at 50. That's an offer. That's tailoring to the fan. That is how you maximize. And by the way, this is where most chatters lack creativity. They think in terms of send a pay-per-view. They don't think in terms of let's design a deal that makes a subscriber feel like they're getting something truly special. That's how you increase average spend. The next strategy is standalone pay-per-view selling. This is a skill every chatter needs because sequences are overused. A lot of fans know the pattern. Some fans hate sequences. Some fans just want one high value item and they want to be done. If you can only sell sequences, you're missing those buyers. And if you want to monetize as many subscribers as possible, you need variety. So, when do you use standalone pay-per-views? You use them when a subscriber doesn't finish sequences. You know, when they've bought multiple sequences in a row and you want to avoid predictability. When they don't respond to sexting, for example, or when they prefer photos, or when you want to test what they'll buy. The key to standalone pay-per-view selling is the transition. Most chatters mess this up. They have a normal chat. They suddenly send content and it feels like, okay, you want money now. It creates resistance. What you need is a why, a contextual reason that makes it feel natural. Like the content is a continuation of the conversation, not a random sales pitch. Here's the method. First, make your plan. Choose the pay-per-view before you transition. Do not start transitioning and then panic and decide what to sell. Choose the content, then steer the conversation towards something relevant to it, but not sexual. This is important. If you make the transition sexual too early, it becomes obvious what you're doing. If it's a shower video, you talk about how you need a shower. Very simple. If it's a specific outfit, you talk about shopping, choosing outfits, wanting their opinion. If it's something harder to transition, you can even use something like, I'm trying to upload something, but it won't work. The goal is to create context. Then you have a brief chat about that topic, a few minutes, so the transition is smooth. And then you ask the most powerful question in OnlyFans chatting, the if you were here question. This is where the magic happens because it puts a subscriber into a scenario. It makes them imagine being there. And imagination is the bridge between conversation and buying. So you ask, if you were here, would you make me go shower? Or if you were here, would you help me choose? Or if you were here, would you help me with this? Notice how none of these are sexual, but they lead to a place where the subscriber makes it sexual. You're not forcing it, you're letting them do it. That makes them feel in control, and it makes the conversation feel natural. Once you ask that question, now you can start scenario-based flirting. You take them through a story of what would happen if they were together step by step, escalating. When they're invested, you drop the pay-per-view with a strong caption. Now, captions matter more than most chatters think. A caption is not just, this is hot. A caption is the final push, and the best captions do something counterintuitive. They remove pressure because pressure creates resistance. If a subscriber feels like they're being pressured, to buy, they instantly think of reasons not to. They feel used. They simply feel manipulated. So you remove pressure. Here's a structure that works ridiculously well. First line removes pressure. Second line links to the conversation. Third line asks a question that implies they'll watch it. Then you use their name. So no pressure, but, and then all this talk about the shower reminded me of this. Then, could you handle it if I did this in front of you? Then, Paul. That's the structure. It works. Now, once they unlock a pay-per-view, you must follow up instantly, always. This is one of the biggest revenue multipliers in chatting. When someone unlocks, they're in buyer mode. You want to immediately set up the next sale. You can say, I've got another idea, or want to know what I do next. You are keeping them moving. You are preventing them from finishing and leaving. You're keeping their attention on the next purchase. Now, strategy number 4, dummy customs. This is a cheat code for smaller accounts, low traffic accounts, or any account where, you need to increase transaction value. A dummy custom is when you sell a long pay-per-view or a photo set framed as if it was made specifically for them. Not literally a custom where you say their name, you don't do that, but you sell it like a special idea, that you decided to film. Now, why does it work? Because framing increases perceived value. It allows you to charge more for content that already exists. Low spenders who normally spend 30 might spend 100 because the idea feels personal. Whales might buy instantly because whales buy anything. It works on both ends. How do you sell it? You pitch the idea, not the video. You don't call it a custom. You essentially treat it like something the creator has always wanted to do. For example, I finally filmed something I've wanted to do for ages. Corny? passionate, emotionally loaded. That's what sells. You can also take payment through pay-per-views instead of a tip. You send a couple of locked items and you say, look, unlock these as payment and you'll get some freebies while you wait. Now, it makes it feel like they're getting value instantly and it reduces resistance. The rule with dummy customs is do not mention things that would expose it. Don't say, I'll say your name. Don't say, I filmed it live right now. Don't overpromise. Keep it framed as a special idea you made and chose to share. The final strategy is high ticket urgency pay-per-view. This is a diabolical one. This is the sell a $200 pay-per-view system. And you have to use this sparingly because if you overuse it, it stops working. Here's the psychology. People want what they can't have. People want what feels risky. And people want what feels scarce. And if you can create a moment where it feels like the creator is genuinely hesitant to send a wild video, the subscriber's desire skyrockets. The key is you do not act excited, you act nervous, you act hesitant, you act like you might delete it. You don't go, this is the hottest video ever, babe. No, that kills it. You act like, I don't know if I should show you this. Like, I'm not really sure about this. So maybe the subscriber asks, what's your hottest video? Or you bring it up yourself. You say, I actually have something that I haven't sent to anyone, but honestly, I might delete it. It's too much. And then you shut up, let them chase for it. That's what it is. You pull back and say, no, I don't know. You go through push and pull for 5 or 10 minutes. You build value through hesitation. At some point, they'll either push harder or they'll back off. If they back off, that's where you shift to push. If I was gonna send it to anyone, it would be you because you're respectful and I feel comfortable with you. Now what you've done is you've created emotional permission. That increases conversion. Then you drop it with urgency. Okay, I don't know why I'm doing this. I'll give you the choice, but I'm probably going to unsend it because I'm literally freaking out right now. And you set a tight window, 2 minutes. You act like you're turning your phone off. You create extreme tension and you price it high, 150 to 200. If they buy it, you win. If they don't buy it and they say it's too expensive, you do not beg, you do not discount immediately. You simply act relieved. Oh, thank God, I didn't actually want you to see that. Then you unsend it, and that makes them feel the opportunity slipping away. And that's when they often panic and buy. Then you can give them one final chance, only one. And if they still don't buy, you move on. You don't guilt trip and you don't leave a bad taste. Now, everything I've said so far will increase revenue, but here's the part that makes it scale. Training and incentives. Chatters will not attempt to create selling unless there is a reason to. They will stick to what is easy. They will stick to scripts and they will stick to comfort. So you need to gamify, set bonuses and competitions, weekly bonuses for best crafted offer, competition for most dummy custom sold, reward pay-per-view looping success, make it a culture of creative selling. And don't just announce it, demonstrate it live in training. Here's another thing we do that is incredibly effective, assign authority. If a chatter becomes great at one of these strategies, make them the leader of that strategy. Sam is insane at crafting offers, repeat it, reinforce it, make them coach others. This makes Sam proud, makes Sam keep performing, and makes other chatters want to learn. It creates a self-fulfilling culture of improvement. Now, look, I'm gonna end this with the most important principle in OnlyFans chatting. If you take nothing else from this video, take this. Everyone spends. Everyone. Not literally every human on earth, but in your account, if you believe that a subscriber is a non-buyer before you even try, you will create non-buyers. Your belief becomes your behavior. Your behavior becomes the outcome. And if you approach someone like they won't spend, you will never craft the offer. You will never build the scenario. You will never create curiosity. And you will never follow up. You will never test. But if you operate with the mindset that everyone spends, if you learn their behavior, if you track their patterns, if you adapt and you're resourceful, you will sell the right person, the right thing at the right time. That's what elite chatting is. It's not typing sexy lines, it's reading behavior, and it's prioritizing correctly. It's controlling attention, it's building momentum, it's using psychology, it's being fast, it's being disciplined, it's being strategic. So if you want to optimize your chatting, here's what you do after this video. Drill the fundamentals, refresh unread, build the cycle, use the hierarchy, pin prospects, study PPV history, plan your sales, and loop with instant follow-up. Craft offers from notes and use dummy customs for bigger tickets. Use high ticket urgency sparingly. Train it, incentivize it, assign authority, and create culture. Do that, And you won't just make more money, you'll make consistent money. You'll make scalable money. And you'll build a chatting team that doesn't rely on luck. If you found this useful, leave a like, subscribe, and comment optimize so I know you made it to the end. And if you want me to make a follow-up video where I show you, the actual message examples for each of these strategies, including full script and exact lines you can copy, then make sure you comment that too, and I'll make sure to drop it next. And if you do want any further help with your business, click the link below, watch the training, and book a call if you feel that it's right for you. Thank you for listening. I'll see you in the next one.